Hi everybody, Ian Dainty here, and I want to talk today about some of the challenges that are going on and how important it is for marketing and sales to really take over, but particularly marketing, and I'm going to give you a good example of that. It's been said lately that Canada's technology companies are facing their most serious challenges in about 25 years. And in fact, it's always been said that Canadians are great at technology but lousy at sales and marketing. Now, these are discoveries and stated by a company called Wesley Clover, which is a Canadian technology investment firm with offices around the globe. And having spent over 35 years owning and working with Canadian technology companies, I actually quite agree. But this doesn't just apply to Canadian companies, it applies to almost all B2B companies in any sector. As a matter of fact, most technology companies, I just feel, don't seem to get it as far as sales and marketing are concerned. I mean, sure, there are other issues such as access to capital and government regulations and the issue about not enough talent, and all of those are very real. But I find that most tech companies don't see the vital importance of sales and marketing in their business growth. This is especially true with smaller and startup companies. You seem to feel sometimes that most of these companies still believe that building a better mousetrap and people will just beat a path to their door. But let's look at the other side of it. Let's take a look at Apple. I mean, and in the past, look at RIM or look at Google and Facebook and Twitter, etc. Most of these companies use sales and marketing methods, including social media, to grow their companies. And look at RIM now. It's fighting for its survival. Many believe it's simply a technology issue. That certainly affects a tech company. I mean, there's absolutely no way about it. But the biggest part is marketing and sales. They are now trying to find a top marketer, RIM is actually, to try and take Apple on and the rest of the smartphone companies. Last night, actually, it was last night, I just saw a TV commentator that described how Apple gets so much attention when they announce something, like the new iPad they just announced the other day. And as he described it, it was revolutionary. Not the commentator, but as the new CEO of Apple described it, it was revolutionary. And really, but it wasn't. It was just an upgrade, as he's called it, of a gadget. The new upgrade really wasn't going to change our life, but it was going to make iPad run faster. And yet the media covers these events for Apple like we were either going to war or world peace had just been achieved. Steve Jobs has been compared to the greatest minds that ever lived, like Da Vinci or Einstein. But as this commentator said, what makes Apple so great is their marketing. He stated that Apple may be the best marketing company ever. And there's certainly some great facts to back that up. And after reflecting on what he said, I really agree with him. It was really RIM and their BlackBerry that was the real smartphone, the initial smartphone. And really, if you go back further to the Apple Mac, it was really the PC that far preceded the Mac. But Apple came along and made their products look like they had just discovered the world was actually round, from 3 or 4 centuries ago. And it was all because of their marketing. But let's look even further. 2 of the longest lasting and largest technology companies in history, IBM and Microsoft, spent over 20% of their revenues on sales and marketing. And that number is 50% higher than what each of them spends on R&D. Now, not every tech company will become an IBM or Microsoft, a Google or an Apple, but most have the ability to grow much faster and much larger than they are now through much better sales and marketing. And in today's age, that includes a comprehensive social media strategy and implementation. I see many tech companies, in particular smaller ones, small and medium-sized ones, with not as much budget as they'd like, hire someone right out of school without any real practical sales and marketing knowledge and expect that person to build their company. And many times they want to pay them straight commission without any training and without any direction. They then expect them to cold call without any idea of who their ideal client is. They're not told who their ideal client is. They're not given a list and no idea of the value proposition. They always fail and the company blames them, blames these people right out of school, and they believe that sales and marketing don't work. Or you get the time where the salespeople come up to the technology people and say, we need more features, or we're going to have to cut the price. So a lot of technology people are down on sales and marketing because they haven't seen it work in the past. Why do tech companies who constantly come up with some wonderful technology ideas believe that cold calling works? And when it never really did work, unless you've got a very defined ideal client and a very tight value proposition. And why are tech companies so slow to adapt to the newest ways of doing business through technology like social media when they are technology companies? It always baffles me. And then we wonder why almost all technology companies fail. And really, it's just not technology companies, but of course most new companies fail. I think the number is like close to 90% within the first 5 years. However, on the other side of the coin, it's interesting that both Microsoft and IBM they've never been accused of having the best technology, and yet they've survived for years. Why? Well, a big reason is that they understand how important marketing and sales are to their growth and survival. And this is especially true in today's age for marketing. It really boils down to what the owners of a company want. Do you want to have the best technology that no one knows about and no one buys? Or do you want to have a thriving company that gives you all of the comforts a thriving company can have? Not just within the company, but for your own personal use. You know, your homes and your vacations and your cars and whatever you want to do. And all of the benefits it can bring you both personally and professionally. Unless you have an idea that will change the world, and you have great access to capital, and are willing to engage the right sales and marketing strategy with at least 20% of revenue going towards sales and marketing, then you're better off simply using your tech skills working for another company, which will pay you more than you're probably ever going to make as a business owner, and with a lot less stress and, as I mentioned, a bigger paycheck. Let's have a look at what you can do in marketing and how you can spend wisely to grow your company. First of all, if you don't believe that marketing can help your company now, then this is not the video for you, right? I mean, if you don't think it's going to help, this isn't it. And if you're not prepared to invest in marketing, then again, this is not the video for you. However, if you want to grow, you need marketing. And the more you can afford, the faster your growth will get. As I mentioned, Microsoft and IBM and Apple, they invest in marketing. You need to get your message out as fast and as far as possible. You also need to keep in mind that marketing always precedes sales. And if you market properly, you do your marketing properly, sales will come automatically. You don't have to invest a whole bunch of money and time in salespeople. They're important because they can push somebody towards your company or over the edge to make a decision. But you must realize that you don't actually sell. People and companies really buy. They will only buy when they're ready to buy, not when you want them to buy. You cannot force anyone to buy. That is why cold calling is such a waste of time. But let's look at this further and see why it is a waste of time. Let's look at two types of jobs so that you can understand marketing and sales better and why cold calling doesn't work and why you need to nurture people and bring them along. Let's look at salespeople as one job and servants as another job. What are a few of the things we don't like about each of the people associated with these jobs? We might like the people, but we don't like some of the things that are associated with their job. For servants, as an example, we don't like their sycophantic way of life. Yes, sir, when can I do it, sir? When a bell rings, they drop everything and come running. How would you respond if every time a prospect or client called, you dropped everything and responded to them? The real key is, what do you believe your prospects and clients would think of you? Now, obviously, we need to respond to prospect and client requests in a timely manner. But if you keep responding to them immediately all the time when they call you, you put yourself in a servant position rather than in a partnership position. And you will not get much done and have trouble approaching them as a partner when you really want to try and approach them as a partner. So don't be a servant to your prospects and clients. Now, let's look at what don't we like about salespeople. Probably a lot of things, right? But let's look at the most obvious trait, and that is being pushed or bullied into buying. None of us like that. We don't want to be pushed. And yet, that is what many salespeople try and do, and that's their reputation. And that is what cold calling does. The other thing cold calling does is put the salesperson in an inferior position because it looks like the salesperson needs the business. Or why would he call you out of the blue? Or she call you out of the blue? Obviously, we don't want to be perceived like either one of these types of people. That's why marketing is so important and why it needs to be carried out properly. Now, you can contact people before they contact you if you have something worthwhile for them to hear and or if they are a referral. But you also must have something for them in return, as you need to understand their current situation. You need to build credibility and trust with them before they even think of buying from you. You also need to understand that people and companies buy for only one of two reasons. You have something that will help them do their job better, either your product or your service, or you have something that will solve problems for them. And there are two things that must happen before you solve their problem. The first thing is they must realize they have a problem. Okay? A lot of people have a problem, they must realize it. And the second thing is they want to solve the problem. And, we do that in our computer. It runs slowly. We have a problem. We don't fix it. Our car rattles a little bit. We wait till it gets worse. So they have to want to solve the problem. Now, you can agitate that and show them what would happen if they don't solve it, but they have to really want to solve the problem first. So let's look at how you can reach these companies that realize they might need a solution that a company like yours has. They want to improve their business or they want to solve a problem. You need to use some kind of media to reach out to people. And marketing can be divided into 4 categories. These categories are offline, online, broadcast, and human interaction. These are the 4 medias that you can use for marketing. And some of them are still used a lot. Let's have a look at each of these in turn to see which ones may be appropriate for you. Offline marketing includes direct response marketing through such media as mailings, using the old snail mail, advertisements in magazines and newspapers, etc., flyers, etc. Online includes the following: your website, blogs, teleseminars, social media, RSS feeds, video, audio, all kinds of things you can use online. Broadcasting, of course, includes television, radio, and in there you have infomercials or some sort of ads, etc. And human interaction includes things like seminars, networking groups, trade shows, user groups, all kinds of things you can do. And all of these are all still very viable alternatives, but the most important media right now is online. But you should not neglect the others either, if you can afford them, as they set you as different from the crowd, and you can get some amazing results by doing that because you are different. Remember, the most important thing in any marketing you do is to have your prospect put their hand up, okay, like they want to ask you something, to let you know they're interested in what you were saying. Remember, you don't want to look like a servant or a salesperson with all of their bad traits. So how do you do this? Well, you give them something for free, like a white paper or a guide, a technical review, or online you can give them a download. You can give them those other things too, or even some software to use for a short period of time. The key is to collect their contact information before they get what you're offering for free. This way you have a method to keep in touch with them directly, by either mail or online through emails and some other ways to keep in touch. You get a chance to nurture them and build trust and credibility, and that's what you have to do. Remember, a referral builds trust and credibility. You need to build that trust and credibility before people will buy from you, particularly in B2B, which is usually a higher ticket item. So send them 3 to 4 pieces of content before you try and sell them something. Give them the download, and then talk to them about what else you can do, what else issues that they have, and how you can help them. So what can you do now to grow your business? The first thing you need to do is start looking at how much you're spending on marketing and sales. The minimum you should be spending is 10% of revenues. However, to be really successful, you need to spend like the big guys, about double that, or 20% of your revenues, not profits, but revenues. You then need to develop a strategy that will bring you the results you want. And the best way to do that is to bring a marketing facilitator to help you put together the right plan and the right strategy. Next time we'll delve further into how you can grow your business with the right sales and marketing strategy for your company. Till next time, I look forward to it.